afternoon. This is Tanish Laverne Grant with BlackInAmerica.com. Super excited to bring to the platform today multi-talented, the oh so ever beautiful Crystal Hazlett, who has made quite a career in the space of entertainment, acting, costume design, wardrobe design with Tyler Perry Studios. Forgive me, guys. But is a singer, actress, can do it all, and that's really important to make sure we have talent in the space that can do it all. And Crystal, you've been doing it all for quite some time.
Yes.
I mean, for those of us who don't know about your journey, we mentioned before the tape rolled, you actually have a background in pageantry. You're a Miss University of Tennessee. I love to start there because I'm a pageant girl myself, and a lot of people really undercut the value of participating in pageantry. But for me, it's like participating in sports. When people say, "Oh, sports," how children should participate in sports. Well, not all kids can participate in sports, especially women. But we do have the pageant space, which kind of runs up against sports in the same way. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. It's funny. I entered my first pageant when I was in junior high school, and I was such a tomboy growing up. And I remember my shoe came off in the train when we were all walking out in the parade, and I was like walking like with one shoe on.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. It's over with. My first one, and I was over it. And we were backstage and everybody was huddled up and we were all holding hands, and I didn't even hear them call my name as the winner. And they were like, and Junior Miss Martin is Crystal Hazlett. And I was just sitting there with still holding everybody like, Crystal, you won. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, okay.
I said, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I think after that, I was like, okay, I can do it again. So I ended up running for Miss Martin.
Okay.
And got that. And then
that's your hometown. That's where you're from.
Yeah. Okay. And it's a big cheer town. It's a big gymnastics town and a big pageant town. So my mom wasn't one of those crazy pageant moms.
Listen, I gotta tell you, I can remember this one girl, her name was Angela Carroll, and she was from Tennessee. And she was Miss Tennessee State University, and that chick was serious. She was serious.
That's where my mom and dad went.
Are you serious?
Yeah, both my parents went to UT. Went to Tennessee State. Yeah, that's
amazing. Yeah. But all those girls coming out of like Tennessee and Texas, all those southern states, those girls took pageantry they had a very different lens and scope about it. I'm from up north. And we were serious about pomp and circumstance and pageantry as well. Yes. But I swear the southern belles had a whole new different thing. We were like, oh, wow.
No, they took, and I was a tomboy all throughout. Like I always just had that time. I really wasn't really. It didn't my world didn't revolve around pageantry like a lot of girls. Yeah. So. And I think that may have helped me with my comfort, and I wasn't so uptight a lot of times. I think that really helped me because I remember in college when I went out for Miss UT Martin 3 times. And first time I don't think I even played. Second time I got top 10, I think it was. And then the third time I ended up winning it. And they were calling it third time's a charm. But I remember listening to Eminem in the background. You better lose yourself in the music. I have headphones going, doing my makeup. Like that was me. And that was my reality.
I love that. But what I really love is you went back again and you went back again, and if you don't have that spirit of fortitude and the spirit to keep going and to keep trying again, this business really isn't for you. So, fast forward to, coming of age and coming to Atlanta. I know you spent some time in Los Angeles as well. You did? I thought I read.
I was in Washington, D.C.
Oh, you went to D.C. That's right, because you worked in politics for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what was that? How did you go from politics to working in the entertainment industry?
Entertainment was really my passion since I was. It's always something that I wanted to do and dreamt of, and I really just was going the safe route, as my parents had always said.
Okay.
Good job, insurance, those type of things. So I followed their guidelines until I was at a point in my life where I wanted to really go after what I wanted.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I ended
And
up living
look,
Atlanta.
and look at where we are now. Look at where we are now. What is so
Yeah.
admirable about your journey is you are okay with coming off of the path of acting for a second,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I think you when you know that you're going to live in your purpose and live in your destiny, it's just a matter of, okay, well, maybe I have to go about it a different way, you
Right.
know. And so enter, you know, Tyler Perry and working as a production assistant and then working in the wardrobe department. Because I've been seeing the headlines and people are like, oh, you know, how did she go from, you know, working in wardrobe to costume to becoming an actress? But acting is what you've always wanted to do. You just
Yeah.
had to find a different way, you know, to
Yeah.
make it happen. You know, so
Yeah.
how did you get hooked up with Tyler Perry Studios? Was it
I had
somebody
a
who
friend
brought
that
you
was
in?
working.
Did you apply? Because I was gonna say getting into Tyler Perry Studios is
It's tough.
not an easy feat.
It is not. And that was a blessing. I had a friend that was already working there in the costume department, and she was my stylist at the time for my music. And she was like, you know, you really have a knack for fashion. You really don't even need a stylist. You know what you like. You basically just need a shopper. And she was like, we have a position open for a production assistant. Would you like to come interview for it? So I interviewed for it, and I ended up getting the position. And that's how it started. I literally started as a production assistant at the bottom of the totem pole and worked my way up.
Are
Yeah.
y'all getting this? I love these kinds of stories because, you know, working in this industry, there are so many young people who thinks it's just one way or, you know,
Yeah.
it has to happen by the time I'm 20 or 25 or 30. And it happens when you're ready, you know,
Yes,
really and truthfully. If you're
absolutely.
ready at 20, then it'll happen for you at 20. If it's not until you're 45 or 50, then that is when it'll happen to you because we're not an age, we're an energy. And when that energy
Yeah,
is ready,
I like that.
yeah, when that
Yeah.
energy is ready and has matured, you know,
Mhm.
to receive what it wants, then
Yes.
it'll happen. Then it'll
Ab-
happen. You know,
My
so
mother
here
used
we
to say that. I used to always ask her. She would ask. I would ask her why couldn't I do certain things or why are things not happening. She goes, "Honey, it's just not your season." And I would always say, "Well, when is it gonna be my season?" And she
wow.
called me recently, and she goes, "Hey, I just wanted to call and tell you it's your season." And I was like, "Whew,
Wait a minute, who said this to you?
my mother."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like,
Wow.
finally,
That's
Lord.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And now here we are, fast forward. You're playing Fatima, you know, on Tyler Perry's Sisters, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Like, what has it been like for you? Because I know the journey from, you know, just living your regular life to all of a sudden being thrust into the spotlight. And even though, you know, we dream of becoming, you know, actors, writers, producers, journalists, you
Mhm.
know, sometimes we're not always ready for the fame component, especially in the day and age of social media, where
Yes.
everything you say and do is under a microscope. Like right now, and I'm following this story with Leticia Wright, you know,
Mhm.
who played in Black Panther. You know,
Yes.
and the poor young woman had to delete her social media accounts because she's being dragged for basically expressing her thoughts, you know,
Yeah.
about vaccines. She's
Mhm.
only 20 something years old. You
Mhm.
know, she's saying that she doesn't understand them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That she's not really sure if she would be on board or something with
But that's like
vaccine.
the majority of America. I'm not sure why people are dragging her. Like the
Oh
majority of
my
the United
God.
States today where people are very skeptical.
It's
Like,
been so bad. It's been so bad. It's been so bad. I'm like, wow, she's only 20 something years old. She's
yeah.
still processing the death of Chadwick Boseman, somebody who she
Yes.
loved and admired. And here, this young woman doesn't even have, no one for that matter, has a
Mhm.
safe space to, you know, I don't want to say make a mistake, but to be a human being,
Right. And she's young,
to
like,
be a human being, you
yeah.
know. And so I bring that up, you know, to ask you, like, how have you been doing? Which is why at the top of this, I wanted to say, let's just take a second and
Yeah,
collect ourselves for a moment because I know it's a lot.
it is.
So,
Yeah.
how are you managing the fame component of it all?
It's funny because I am a very private person. So this was something that I had to really find a balance with. I'm a Libra,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm big on balance.
Yeah.
And I want the viewers and the audience to feel like they have a sense of who I am, because just on social media before, people really didn't know who I was. I really didn't have a voice. I just posted pictures. You know, I just was into fashion. People didn't even know I styled Tyler half the time because I didn't post them. It was just something, I just did it, you know.
You did your work. Yeah.
Yeah, did the work. And so it is different now, like doing so much. And a lot of times I get lost in trying to make sure I'm keeping up with the fame, and like people really feel like they know you because they see you on TV every week, and just trying to make sure that I keep a hold of my privacy, the sacredness of that piece, and not letting people infiltrate that, you know, but also being a light that people need and giving myself, but to an extent where I'm not exhausting myself.
Yeah, so, where you're not tapped out.
Finding that balance.
Yeah. So Crystal, getting back to playing, you know, Fatima, you know, people pronounce that name different ways.
Danny called me Fatima last week on the show. It was funny.
Yeah, you know, I have 2 girlfriends named, you know, spelled the same way. One pronounces it Fatima, and then the other one pronounces it Fatima.
Yep.
You know, so I'm just like, what's the, you know, how does Tyler Perry want the name pronounced?
Yeah, Fatima.
Fatima. Okay, fair enough, Fatima. Yeah. You know, so, you know, first of all, you're working with KJ Smith, who I just adore. I love that chick.
Girl.
I interviewed her a few months ago, actually. I guess it's been a few months, maybe 2 months ago. That chick is on fire.
Baby, she is. And actually, KJ was my roommate this season. A housemate. We had a huge house to ourselves for season 2.
And, wow.
Housemate. I love her.
I just love the camaraderie of what looks like, you know, true sisterhood between you and your castmates, which is really hard.
Yeah.
You know, which is really, really difficult. You know, I think historically, I think Black women just have a hard time trusting one another sometimes, and it really isn't on purpose. It's just because so many of us come from an environment of lack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, and it doesn't mean that, oh, you know, we came up in a poor neighborhood, but it's just that Black women are taught that there's just a lack of opportunities. And if you believe that there's a lack of opportunities, then you become closed hand and tight fist.
Yeah.
You know, don't want to share. Yeah. And so when I see, you know, Black women in this industry, like really getting along and really taking care of each other is just really refreshing. So getting back to what I wanted to ask before I started talking about you and KJ is the first day for you, Crystal, that you're on set and you go to your trailer, like you're walking in, you have your trailer, you know, you're in costume and you walk in on that sound stage or in that mise-en-scène as Fatima. Like, what was that like for you?
Oh my goodness. It was a dream, because I had everyone that I had worked with in the costume department that had watched me literally go on my lunch break to audition for shows, come back, put my clothes back on and get back to work. All those people that were with me from a production assistant up until that moment were there. Still, a lot of them were still working at the studio. They got on the bus with me. They rode with me to set. A friend of mine who used to always joke around and be like, I'm gonna be putting your shoes on one day. And I'm like, boy, stop.
Wow.
And now look. And he was there holding my shoes, and it was just like, it was super emotional. And we get up and Tyler's like, you ready? And I'm like, yes, sir. Like, let's do it. So he's like, all right, and action. I'm done with the take. And he's like, all right, do it again. We're going to do this. Cameras turn around. We do it again. And he was like, then he put on his megaphone, he was like, that was Crystal Renee's first take on Sisterhood. And everybody went crazy. Everybody like bum rushed me, and we were all like just going crazy. It was the most amazing moment.
That's amazing. That's amazing. My sister's name is Crystal Renee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 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 And it's so crazy because of one of my besties, her name is also Crystal.
Oh.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful name. It's such a beautiful name. I actually named my sister when she was being born because Frosty the Snowman's sidekick was named Crystal.
Yes. I love that. That's so cute.
Y'all don't know a little bit of Christmas trivia. So Frosty the snowman side character was named Crystal, and that's why my little sister's name is Crystal, because she was going to be my sidekick. She was going to be my roadie. That is truly remarkable. So, Crystal, what do you think are some of the biggest misnomers that young people have, young women particularly, have about being an actress? And what comes along with that? Because, every woman, every young girl who is beautiful, even a little bit of cute, thinks she can just jump into the box and become, an actress. And I really don't think a lot of young women are really understanding like what that really takes.
Yeah, no, it takes a lot. And you have people that have the classical training. You have people that have just lived life, and they use those moments to really, excuse me, to really tap into, to pull from certain places for characters. And I think a lot of people think it's just glitz and glamour, and you hear that, but it's really not. It's long hours. It's long hours of preparation. It's long hours of shooting time. It's the preparation to make sure that your body is right and that your mind is right, taking care of yourself, working out, eating properly, taking your vitamins, going to the doctor and making sure that you're getting everything that you need and you're not missing anything, so that you can have the stamina to withhold those long hours. And it's a lot. And then you have being in the public eye that comes along with it. People think, oh, I want to be famous and I want to do this, but they don't understand that the pressures and the way you got to walk different and watch what you say. It's a lot. You lose a lot of your freedom in that. And you have to really be careful with making sure that you don't lose yourself, and it's an art, and you have to have some sense of, you have to be grounded, to be able to really tap into different characters. So I think those are some of the misconceptions.
That is definitely well said, and the audience definitely needs to hear it. I know, for myself, working as a journalist, I pursued acting. I'm very much still an actress, but I eat a little bit better as a journalist.
Right.
I eat a little bit better as a journalist. And even being a journalist in the entertainment space, there's this line that you walk, between, celebrity and trying to be a journalist too. There are these expectations, especially in the space that I work in, because I cover, red carpets. That is how my career really, really took shape, as being a red carpet correspondent. And so when you're out there interviewing celebrities, then the public treats you like you're a celebrity too. But I'm just like, it's just a different area, just like being a medical reporter or, being a war correspondent, instead of me reporting from the Gaza, I'm reporting from, a red carpet, which sometimes can be like the damn Gaza Strip.
Right. Yes.
It could be like the Gaza Strip. And so I totally understand it. When you think about, Crystal moving forward as an actress, it's like, what is your role of a lifetime, Crystal?
My role of a lifetime? Ooh.
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't know why I have this obsession with Law and Order.
Oh, wow. It's hard not to. It's been on 20 something. How many years?
Yeah. A long time. It's funny, when I was a kid, that doom, that noise in the beginning used to scare me.
Oh, wow.
And as I got older, I think it was actually when I started working on Capitol Hill that I got addicted to that show. And and I love Mariska, who plays Detective Olivia Benson.
Oh yeah,
Mariska, do something like that
like Hollywood royalty.
Listen, and it's like the job, like the golden job. So I would love to do something. I don't know why I love the detective work or some type of show like that. But yeah.
Oh, wow. So, Tyler Perry has this reputation in the space of pretty much doing everything on his own. You read these stories of, he doesn't give his actors, a lot of takes, to do a particular scene. What do you think people misunderstand most about Tyler Perry and his genius and what he has contributed to the culture?
I think people don't see through his eyes, and it took me not a long time. I had to catch on really quick, even as costume designing, to like see how he sees things and to also see how his mind processes things. And once you figure that out, you see he's actually brilliant. You're like, wow, like this man is really smart. And when I work on things myself creatively, I use that mindset and I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can catch it this way. And a lot of times you realize you don't need a million takes to get it, you know,
Right.
but it does take a lot of preparation and even knowing as an actor, okay, when I go in here, if I only get one take, I know every move I want to make. I know every note that I want to hit. And you have to, and it's like a boot camp. Like you really have to go in there and know exactly what you want, because if you don't, there may be a moment where you're like, dang, I wish I had did it different. And you miss that shot because he's like, all right, moving on. Cause he feels like he got it. But as an artist, I got it and your got it may be two different things, you know?
I totally get it.
Yeah.
So
he got it.
In a lot of ways, you know, he challenges you. He challenges your skill set and your dedication.
Mm-hmm. He stretches us, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And we shoot out of order, so you really have to like know it. It's not like we're shooting
in order.
No, we shoot out of order.
I was gonna say I've never heard of any director shooting in sequence. Yeah. I think the only time I remember John Singleton, the late John Singleton, may he rest in peace. Yeah. I can remember him saying that he shot Boys in the Hood in sequence, and that was the only time he ever shot that way, which is pretty remarkable.
Yes,
as a young filmmaker coming out of USC, I think I can almost quote him in saying that, yeah, he shot that in sequence. You know, so coming to set, you know, being on set is a long and arduous task sometimes. A lot of people don't even realize that. You know, how many hours a day, let's say you're shooting an office scene. You know, because one thing I learned, and it really surprised me when I was a young actress, you know, just coming to Hollywood, is that it really does take like a full week to shoot like one episode. Yeah. So when you're shooting like a small office scene, like, you know, when you're telling, you know, KJ's character, like, oh, you know, just watch your back, girl, or this, that, and the other, something really, maybe like a 10-line exchange.
Yeah.
How long does it take to shoot something like that?
Oh, 10 lines, we might be done in, it depends on how many turnarounds. If he has to get different angles or close-ups, it could take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes at the most. And normally that would take like hours somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm shocked. Yeah. This is why I could not wait to talk to you. I love speaking with Tyler Perry actresses and actors, because you guys just have, it's a different way over there. It's a different camp. It's a whole new different workshop than what, you know, the rest of the industry is doing. You know, because like I said, when I was, you know, pursuing acting and just starting out, being on those sets, it was an eternity to shoot some of those scenes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy.
It was an eternity. You know, what are some of the challenges that you think Black actresses are still facing today in Hollywood, if any?
Oh, I mean, yeah, they definitely are. Even just getting roles or being acknowledged for your skills, you know, and your work. I think I've watched a lot of amazing bodies of work and wonder, like, why didn't these people get noticed? You know, there's even like actors that I'm like, oh my gosh, they are so good, you know. So I think they're still fighting that, you know, trying to break that glass ceiling for sure. And a few people make it through, and then, you know, everybody else is still trying to get through there. So
wow, who would you like to work with?
Oh man, yes, I want to work with Phylicia Rashad.
I love her.
Yes, she's everything.
Oh my God, Crystal, I've had the opportunity to interview her about 2 times.
She's everything.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. She just pours and pours and pours. Yes. And you know, that cadence in her voice that just is so beautiful and so eloquent.
Very.
You know, even when she's like, even when she's correcting you, you just gotta be right when you're in the presence of Phylicia Rashad.
Yes, you have to.
So who else? Phylicia Rashad. Give me 5. We got 1. Phylicia Rashad.
Yes. You said 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Damson Idris from Snowfall.
Oh, he's
love him.
It.
He's killing it.
He's killing it.
Angela Bassett, I love her.
Yeah, Angie.
Tracy Ellis Ross, I love her.
You know what's so crazy about Tracy Ellis Ross?
Mm.
People, I think the bigger mainstream audience was not aware how absolutely hilarious
Oh my gosh, that's why
Tracy
I work
Ellis
with
Ross.
her. Yes.
Yeah. I tapped into Tracy years ago when she was on a show called The Lyricist Lounge.
I love that show. That's when I first really found out about her. I loved her on that show.
Hey, I say Lyricist Lounge, Christy. I swear to God, I interview talent all day, every day for the last 7 years, and I swear to God, you're like the only person who was able to lock in with me when I said Lyricist Lounge.
Yeah, everybody else were like, "What?"
Yeah.
No, I loved her on that show. Yeah, I knew her on that. Like that's how I knew of her when Girlfriends came
When
out.
Girlfriends came.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. She's like, I hate, comparing actresses or saying, oh, she is the such and such, of our time or our generation, or, the Black version. But I can't help but saying, I mean, Tracy Ellis Ross is like Lucille Ball.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she is so remarkable. So what about leading men? Who are some of the Black men in Hollywood? I know you talked about Idris. Yes, but, a few more Black men that you would like to work with.
Michael B. Jordan, love him.
Yeah, he's on it. He's killing it right now.
Who else? Mackie, Anthony Mackie. He's really good.
Oh my, he's another one, Crystal.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorite Anthony Mackie films. Is She Hate Me. Did you see him in She Hate Me years ago?
I missed that one.
Google She Hate Me. He starred opposite, it's directed by Spike Lee, and he stars opposite Kerry Washington in this movie. And there are some legends in it. There are some legends in the film as well, like Lynette McKee. I mean, it is a must film. If you're a true cinephile and if you're a fan of Spike Lee, you have to go back and watch She Hate Me. It's definitely like one for the culture. One for the culture. So I know we've been talking a lot because there's so much that I wanted to discuss, but I want to talk about style because, the audience won't let me have an interview with Crystal, and I talk about style.
You gotta get into it.
Yeah, your hair, first of all, looks amazing. You're in green, for the holidays, and green represents life and abundance of life and wealth and money and all those things, which is we all need. So when you think about, like wardrobe staples, are there new wardrobe staples versus, what I may have thought, because I think I'm probably maybe 10 years older than you are, so when I think about, wardrobe staples, why does this thing have to pop up on my thing every time? But that's why we have editing. Wardrobe staples, it was like a blouse like this, basic blouse, black skirt, black trousers, a suit, a blouse with a pop of color, a great bag, an expensive bag. If you're going to like have a great bag, it was always in my household, like invest in the bag and the shoes, the accessories, the watch.
Yep. And then everything has to look great.
Yeah. So, I mean, has that changed a little bit? Because I know people are a little bit more daring and a little bit more free when it comes to how they're representing themselves in the corporate space. I mean, you come from Washington, D.C., and I can remember there was a White House photograph of some young students visiting the White House, and they all had on their suits, but they had flip-flops on.
Yeah.
That's something you would never, ever do.
Yeah. And it's funny because that's how we walked into work. Like during the summertime, you had on flip-flops or tennis shoes with your suit. And then when you got to your office, you took your shoes off and put your heels on. But like, that's how we walked into work because
walking in like that is one thing, but people are staying in their tennis shoes.
Oh yeah, no, I would only do that walking in. And then for lunch, I would take my, heels off and put on my flip-flops or sneakers to go to lunch. But that's the only time you wouldn't catch me taking a picture like that.
Yeah, I mean, these kids did it. It made like headlines, so like, what's your favorite, going from like day to night look? Like what's a look? Just, from hair, from top to bottom, like what's an easy transition look for you to go from like day to night?
Yeah. Okay. So one of my favorite hairstyles is a slick back ponytail. So I
Yeah.
could do a slick back ponytail during the daytime with a bodycon style dress and a dope
Mm,
blazer over it. Nighttime, I can take that off, add a fedora, take
yeah.
off the blazer. You got the bodycon, and you're ready to go.
I love that. I love that. Last question. I want to talk about like skincare, because
Oh yes.
as people who work in this industry, women working in front of the camera, we spend an enormous amount of time in makeup.
Yes.
The beautiful Kiki Palmer just came on social media and talked about her issues and concerns that she had with her skin, which I just thought was just so bold, like my
Yeah,
God.
bold, and a lot of people with it.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, Kiki, you know, I mean, I have dark
Yeah, that was
circles, and trust me,
amazing.
I don't have the courage to come on camera without my concealer on, and so for this young woman to
Right.
just be able to just, lay bare, and opening herself to all types of criticism and trolls, and it's just horrible. So when you
Yeah.
think about, working in this industry, and skincare and makeup, let's just talk about that, you know.
Yeah. For me, my makeup artist on set, she is really good about making sure that my brushes are only used on my face. She cleans them
Mm.
every night for the next day. And as soon as the night is over, when we're wrapped, she gives me a wipe so I can go ahead and wash my face. She even brings my skincare routine to the makeup room so I can go ahead and get everything off. And then she double checks to make sure that everything is off before I go back to my room.
Wow.
Because it is like, it's a lot of wear. They're
Uh-oh.
constantly putting that on your face every day. You know how it is for TV. You have to put extra makeup on for what happened?
No,
Oh, she said, oh, yeah, for the
I
lights and
saw a delay.
everything.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Um, with work being on camera, you have to put extra makeup on because of the lights. You don't want to look like you just muted. So they had to pile on certain areas, and you're like, huh. And especially when it's summertime and it's hot, and you feel like you're sweating, and then they got to add more to touch up, and it's just like, oh, it's so much. So it's very important. But I think even with a lot of people neglect cleaning their brushes and the things that they're
Mm,
applying to their face, which add on to the breakouts.
yeah.
So
What is your must-have, skincare routine? Like, moisturizer, toner, like what is that must-have component of your skin caring regimen that you must have?
toner is definitely, I use the fresh rose water toner.
Oh, I love
I
rose water toner. I love the fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, rose petals in it. Yeah, I have to have that. And I think that just always makes me, after I wash my face and everything, that makes me feel super clean.
Now, what about Crystal? Do you steam your face?
I
Like I'm
do.
real big about steaming my face. I mean, of course, now with COVID, we can't get to the salons or the spas or anything like that. But
Yeah.
I had to go old school. Like I boil a pot of water and I put like tea leaves in it and oregano and cerulean
Eucalyptus.
salt
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, and that's really good now. A lot of people are doing that for COVID just to kind of make sure that they're keeping their lungs fresh and clean and getting all that gunk out, doing steam treatment. So
yeah, that's amazing. So,
yeah.
Crystal, as we wrap up this interview, which has been so amazing, you're such a light. You're such a
Oh,
light, and
thank you.
I wish you all the best. I really do. As we are all trying to cope with this COVID-19, you know, some of us are having, just as a collective, some of us are having a really difficult time. People look at you and
Yes.
people look at me and they think that, our life is a very specific way. So, what are some words of encouragement you can offer, to anyone, who is really having a difficult time, trying to manage their life, trying to manage their households, during this difficult time of COVID-19?
Yeah. That is tough. When things are going good in your life and it's not as a collective in the world, you you feel bad, and but also try to find that gratitude.
I don't think you should feel bad because, you know, it's your calling.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people should feel bad about their calling and the things that they've worked for.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you should feel guilty or any type of way, but I do feel like sometimes there's a lack of compassion because some people feel like, oh, well, my shit is all the way right. And they're not lending compassion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So getting back to what you were saying, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I don't want you to feel bad about your success and your journey and the things that you worked your tail off for.
Yes. No, thank you for that. And I it's more so like finding the space to still be grateful for me, but to also be mindful and have that compassion for other people and help where I can. But I would say to that person, there's in every storm in life, there's always sunshine after it. And if you can just find a way to be positive during this time, find ways to just really hone in on things that you love, whether it's your family or being creative, take this time where you may not have this downtime anymore to really hone in on some things that you may be able to live off of, and not have to go back to that job or whatever the case may be. But I think as long as you stay positive and always know that any dark time is always going to be the sun on the other side.
I love that. Crystal Hasted, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful, wonderful interview. You guys tune into Sisters on Tyler Perry. It's on OWN though, right?
No, this is on BT. We're with BT now.
Oh, BET. My apologies. Plug your show, plug your product so people can tune into it. I don't want to give them the wrong information like I just did.
No worries. All right, guys. Make sure you watch Sisters on BET every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And my Instagram, you can follow me. It's LUVCRYSTALRENEE. That's Love Crystal Renee. And then everything else is linked to that if you want to follow me on other social sites.
I love that. There you have it.
Love Crystal. So
you're amazing, girl. You're amazing. Hopefully we can sit down another time and have a different interview and talk about a whole lot of different other things.
I would love that.
I wish you all that. I would love to get all y'all together.
Oh my gosh.